I should probably demonstrate that.
Just walk away and go, we do some.
Next time.
Put it on the agenda item for next time.
And on the right-hand side is ATV and voter safety. So those are our high school students in there.
That's awesome, Wendy.
Quick question with your numbers. Your number of 632, is that inclusive of the 140 kids?
No, it's not.
Okay,
So that's in addition to that.
excellent, thank you.
So in the top picture there is us sending the baseball team off to state. So we made a big gauntlet and they walked through that and gave high fives. On the bottom there is your Party Like a Princess. I'm not sure what they're making that day, if they're making crowns or bookmarks.
Is there at least one really brave guy that took the
Yeah.
class?
No, there's not.
He's a smart one.
And I think as it becomes more popular, we might get some more, because I'm sure there was some boys that maybe would have wanted to and just kind of held back. So I think as it becomes more popular, absolutely.
And then we got our students at the school chorus there.
Just a couple other pictures. The bottom right there is our Read, Relax, and Review that Lori Ejima runs. And it's just a really great time for the students to get in the library, keep books in their hands. And a lot of our students, this is a great time for them to relax a little bit too. If maybe all of the rest of their classes are really busy, heavy activity classes, they can sit down and do that. We have volleyball there in the bottom left, which is awesome because we have Stacy Jacobs, who, as you know, Justin is the volleyball coach, so that she has a lot of knowledge there, and Kelly Ramadini, who has been a volleyball coach for us for the last 5 years or so. And then at the top is the Crazy for Kickball class, which has been a huge hit as well. So, but yeah, it's been wonderful. We've had a great summer. We're going to continue. So
Sounds fun.
oh yes.
Very nice.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Going on to item 8, old business. Item 8A, discussion and possible decision on school safety.
Sure.
Madam President, I'd like a point of order. We discussed this.
Yes, yeah, we
Yes.
just,
Finance committee.
Yes.
yes.
So in the background information, there's a little bit of, but I put in the background information right there that the discussion if possible will come from the finance committee. So that's in your background. We'll highlight that there so everybody sees that. But I did want to talk about it in this line item without saying, if that's okay.
Yes,
I know it's out of order, Mike. Thank you.
right. Well, the only thing we really didn't talk about too was, the
Just defibrillator.
yeah, and that wasn't in, but we can include that in part of that.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. So our school safety grant, Brent starts his day every day with checking to see if ours has been approved yet.
It's still received, so.
It's received, yeah.
But there's 1,000, because every private school can apply, and every public school district applies, so there's 1,000 entities. I think Craig said, the guy at DOJ said, I think it's 1,100 entities can apply, so.
And I thought it was only 400 school districts could apply, but there's 1,100 entities that could have applied for this grant. So ours is in, we met the deadline, we just haven't heard yet. But anyway, what we are seeing is that they're giving approximately $20,000 per school building within your school community. So somebody who has 20 or 14 school buildings, you'll see that they have,
280,000.
yeah,
But they will,
Yeah.
if it's a small building, Craig said that they'll reduce the amount, but we didn't say how to factor it, so some of the schools with, like he said, if you're a school and you got 50 kids and I ain't giving you 20,000 like I'm giving Spash, he used that as an example, so. But that wouldn't apply to us, because we've got schools that are large.
Are they gonna go the other way as well?
No, nobody can get more than 20,000 per school, he said that too.
Is my
And if you
understanding
apply for
from-
more than 20,000 per school, he said, I'm gonna kick your application aside, so you had to send it in for 20,000 per school, so if you asked for 30, he said, you're going to the back of the line.
Is your understanding the same as mine, that there's an expectation that that's gonna be approved?
He
Like,
told
it's
us
not
he
necessarily
guaranteed that everybody was gonna get 20,000 per school if they had a proper sized school, which he didn't regard.
Could you come to
So
this bill?
you're in it, that's the same thing. This would not count as a bill,
Why not?
because this is in a school that's numbered by the DPI.
Instructional institute.
You said it is not?
It is
This is
not.
not considered a
So we don't
school.
have a group of kids out here that is counted as one of our
And then
entities.
also, they also had one staff who was cute. I went to see Craig multiple times, but he said, some schools, like, if you have a virtual school that's numbered like RBA, we know that too, and you're not getting 20,000 for your virtual school either, so that was another thing he made clear to us. Because some of them were thinking, oh, I got this virtual school.
And looking at the DOJ website, it said any school with a DPI code per building, that per building will get the $20,000.
Yeah.
Depending on size. So if it's a little one, Jess, they wouldn't
Right,
get it,
right.
but somebody like our size
Our
would,
size.
or bigger, you know, like
Yeah.
Spash is gonna get 20,000 and they got, what do they got, 1,400 kids? You know, 1,500
No
kids.
funding source cap this time for that, is there? Funding source cap.
20 per building, so
No,
the
no,
most
I
we
mean
get is
from,
60.
from the state and what they had the pool money they got to work with.
Yeah, they got 35 million in the primary, which is for that door security, the film, and the door locks, if you don't have door locks on a classroom, and then 65 million for their advanced initiative. That's how they got the money allocated.
Thank you.
So in
So
other
I-
words, our 4K that are satellite schools,
Cannot count, because those are not DPI entities. So when we wrote the school safety grant, Brent went to a number of workshops at CISA 9, webinars, Department of Justice,
Insurance
informational,
consortium.
insurance, just a number of different meetings in order to write our grant and to get ready for our grant. And I think the biggest trouble was getting bids on everything and understanding what costs were, because you had to upload that into the site. Just a number of requirements in order to apply for this grant. So, based on all those requirements and the long safety grant, I shared that with you in that link. But we talked about purchasing biometric finger readers for our 12 key doors. That'll replace keys to our doors, so you would use your fingerprint in order to get into the school. We would be monitoring, so that's just one aspect. So when Mark, when you talked about the swimming, if you were going to be a part of the swimming class, then you would come in and you'd be fingerprinted to be able to access that class. So that we know who's coming in, who's not coming. So this is an elevation from the door cards that people used to have, but I might be able to borrow my card to Diane and nobody would know if it's Ann or Diane. So the technology has improved and they've gone to fingerprints.
But
We
going,
would-
you have subs then, substitute teacher.
As part of their substitute orientation to our district, they would have to be fingerprinted. If they were gonna do that, otherwise they would go through the access of the secured access. So they would buzz in and buzz out.
Kind of apparently.
They would,
Yeah.
yeah, they go through the same process a parent would
Yeah.
enter the building.
And Brady was quite a bit of part of the writing of it, because to implement the safety and security, we needed technology and wiring, and needed his staff to be able to pull wires and do things like that.
And my department will also oversee the fingerprinting itself, you know, the process of that, and have, obviously from our own staff, it's a big deal, cause you're talking 300 plus people, but also offering, I mean, we've gotta coordinate for the people using the pool and all that to offer times when they can come in and get fingerprinted, cause there's nothing any of you want than a phone call at 7:15 in the morning that somebody can't get into the pool. So certainly, I mean, we know we have to meet our community's needs on that, because it's gonna be a big deal.
Are they keeping track of when they leave too, or no?
It does not track when they leave, no, yeah. Technology's not at that point for the door scanners. The only thing that I would say, we've looked at that, the only thing that we do have is, the goal is that with each of the doors that is fingerprinted, that we have a camera at that door, so you could see when somebody leaves through one of those cameras. That would be the carrot, I guess I would say, of what we're hoping to get with that.
So the 153 doors, magnetic strips, is that including the old section of our school system as
There's
well?
every
So
exterior
that's-
door.
That's including those as well.
Every exterior.
And Brady, I'm sure you took it upon and gave thought to like when we do the plays in.
Yeah, they're actually, like Joe, the guy who runs our auditorium, is actually pretty excited about this. It's kind of a nightmare to manage that side of it
Okay.
for Steve's staff, because Steve's custodial staff is the one getting told from 10 to 2 you've got to key these doors open.
Okay.
So there's looser timeframes. We have the ability now to have, you know, tighter timeframes of when the doors will open, of when the doors will then close. You're not relying on a human being to get back there on a certain amount of time. Everything can be automated from, you know, when we're gonna be open. The other piece that I would say is a huge win is right now our elementary school, it's an awesome part of the district that they utilize the facilities so much for pools, for plays, you know, they're coming over all the time. And right now every elementary school teacher doesn't have a key to the building, so we're either keying the doors open and they're open for extended, well now we'll fingerprint the elementary school teachers to get into the middle school and high school obviously, so, and I see it as a huge win for Steve's staff, for us. You won't have to, you know, you won't have to stand there and make sure somebody's there to open the doors.
And if you're aware that the fingerprints are personally identifiable information and therefore protected federally, so you have to have a security protocol in place on your system for that.
Yep, they talked about that. We've looked at.
We have our employee handbook reflective of requirement for fingerprinting.
We would have to add.
Yeah, we talked about that, you know, once approval happens, that will be an adjustment that has to be made, a notification of that essentially, that, you know, that we are obviously collecting information from, you know, from our.
Is that technology more expensive than the card readers?
Yes, yeah, the biometrics, yeah. Yep.
But the comforting part, Kevin, is you don't have the reissuance costs, you know, of lost cards, damaged cards. You know, they don't give those away, so.
Cards are expensive. Cards were $4 a piece, so you figure, you know, I mean, there is certainly a cost to new cards coming out, new cards getting, you know, issued. And while you can certainly pass that on to people, you know, and paying for it, that just, it adds.
One of the advantages maybe for having that system is the visual of having student ID adjacent on the back of it. That tends to work real well together. But if suggestions by others that are quite honestly in that profession are the biometrics, I would endorse that route.
We're gonna talk about anticipating the funding on that, and then how we would fund, because it's a 97, all of the things that we put in the safety grant totals 97,000, so we took to the finance committee how we would finance that, and Mike's committee will talk about that. Okay, so just to update a little bit more, you know, our safety committee is, well, different aspects are always meeting to talk about different safety features. One of the things that came up is the checklist on some of our safety gear, such as the defibrillators. Brent and the school nurse is the one, and Zach, who oversee that. And when you did an audit of that, found a few.
Yeah, two had protocols that were no longer in use, where they asked you to take the pulse before you gave a shock. And so now the new ones will all be compliant with the new method, which is basically you don't take a pulse. In fact, these are kind of nice in the sense that you hook them up to the person and you don't have to do anything. It does everything. Like some require you to push a button to push it, and talking to people, some people get really nervous when you say I gotta shock you. This just does it all automatically. It's only 2.7 pounds. It's a real small unit that's, you know, the coaches will be able to take out to a field, and they'll work great in gyms too. Hopefully they never get used, but if they do need to be used, they're a good unit and they're easy to move around, and basically, you know, it's self-operating. You know, you don't need to know anything to run it.
Based on different issues that we've had, we've added 5 additional cameras to our school entrances, just different situations that come up where we couldn't see something, and we've added 5 more cameras. And during July, we update our crisis plans. We met with Ted A's. He said, I believe you have some holes in these areas, so we're walking through our crisis plans and updating all of those. We have purchased Navigate Prepare, that's a crisis software, and we're working with the Navigate Prepare people because we'll be training our staff in August at our back-to-school staffing service on how to use the app and different things that they'll have accessible to their phone. That Navigate Prepare, when they did choose that, that was brought, so you guys had a full report on why they chose that, why the committee did. Remember Josh spoke with you. Some future activity is just looking at those plans, reviewing our emergency preparedness that occurred during the school year. And we take a look at preparing for the 18-19 school year. We set dates and times. We have a checklist of emergency preparedness that we do, like an evacuation, mock drills, reverse evacuation. So we put a timeline together for every single school on what we're gonna do, and all that work occurs during the summer.
And then if some of the ones that are CPR certified with the new defibrillators, they'll be able to know how to use those too, correct? They'll be like a refresher course.
The training is a long spreadsheet that our school nurse and Zach manage together to make sure that everybody is trained.
Got it.
And literally, the way I
The
haven't
new
used
defibs are
one,
brand new.
but the new defibrillators, basically, I don't know anything about using a defibrillator. They're meant to be able to be, I guess, idiot proof. I mean, I don't know diddly squat, but basically it gives you these simple directions and away you go.
How much are they a piece?
I think they were like $8.90, I want to say, just under $900 a pop.
So how many of those will be available to the
We'll have 4 that they'll be able to take around
They're
with them
traveling,
to,
right?
go
4
with
traveling.
activities.
Yeah.
Well,
The
they could
coaches,
take them,
yeah.
they might take them, Kelly, but at a lot of schools, if Zach
They
knows
have,
there's
yeah.
at the Tom Walk Gym, there's a defibrillator, you maybe wouldn't take one with you. That'd be up to their discretion if they wanted to.
Well, I'm just wondering that, every year you read stories of the high school football player collapses on the field.
Well, they'll have one that they
And
can take out
seconds
on the
matter,
field.
so I'm just thinking, okay, we have a soccer team that goes over to Edgewood, we have a football team that's out on the football field. There's not a whole lot of time to run from the football field to the school to
Right.
get these and get back and still do that. So my question is that enough so that they're not just going to games, they're being taken to the places where practices are being held?
That was what Zach and I talked about, is that there would be 4 for the 4 sports that would be operating in winter. You're really not gonna use them a ton, because in the building you'll have them by all the gyms. But he felt that was enough for the coaches to have to take with them. That's what we believe to
So
be.
you have football in the fall, just think football, soccer, cross country. I
Yeah,
don't
you've
think
got
we ever
maybe
had more
3
than 4
sports a
going on.
season.
I think that's what you.
And then
want.
volleyball's
Volleyball is in the
inside.
gym.
And
But
the
then you would
One in
have
there.
JV and varsity,
Right.
could be in 2 different places. And you also don't know if the school you're traveling to has them available or not.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think you could say, 100% every, if a coach forgets one, but I'm hoping that they just put it in their equipment bag because it's so little.
So is that what the expectation on these coaches is gonna be, is that they are equipped with a defibrillator
Yeah.
when they're away from a defibrillator, I guess is the.
That would be the thought, yes.
Okay. I think
And
that's
with
great.
2 pounds, 2.7 pounds, it's easy to carry around.
They're pretty idiot-proof.
Yeah. It's a big improvement from where we were, that's for certain. And they're, like I say, easier to use than the old ones too, which is good.
My only last comment on this would be, I heard he had all these different groups that are working on different things. And my criticism, although I'm in favor of this and I'm gonna support this, is that I would still love to see a large strategic plan that brings all these groups together to outline, here are all the needs of our schools to become the example of the secure, target-hardened school that includes the doors, includes things that need to occur internally. And so we can start putting a price tag to that and look at how we can accomplish that for the schools. I get there's exigency here because you had to get something to the state, and to accomplish that, we need to kick in money here. But I would really like to see that before we move too far forward with this in short order, so that we can just put it all together to have a really good understanding and vision for how we're gonna move forward, as opposed to, oh, this group said we would want this, so let's get those things and find funding, and this other group wants this,
let's get it all together so we have a really good picture of what that'll look like.
Well, one thing when we talked about that, because one of the things that's come up over time is, about having the offices being convenient where the parking is, all the equipment, Matt, we could use in another location, because we talked to the vendor about that. Because, Matt, before he left, Matt Ellis said that maybe sometime we'd run a referendum and make, a new office for the middle school and high school and move it. Well, the camera that you're putting in front of the current entrances, you can move, the door monitors will still be good if you wipe out an entrance and you meet fire code. So I said, you're really not gonna be throwing out anything, and if we add doors, I can still cover expansion, like I talked to the architect about. If you guys approve this, I'm gonna need to put a fingerprint reader on the science edition and cameras in there, so, it is expandable and it's not something you'd have to throw out if you did do a referendum from 2 years from now for whatever it may be, or a year from now, or however you guys do it. It's not an end game, like I said, on safety.
Is there any other questions?
I do have one question, is the expectation or the hope, obviously pending funding, that these hand readers and locks and film or windows are going to be installed prior to beginning of school start?
That is school systems technology, the vendor with the door security stuff said most certainly they could do it, but just the problem is until you're approved for the grant, you can't do anything. And, the state, how long they're gonna take, Craig said he wants to get them done as quick as he can, but how quick as he can is the $50 question. I would think that it'll be done soon, but, what's soon, man?
From our standpoint, that is certainly the goal. We're obviously relying on the state, but the two big areas, one is, right now it is so much easier to install stuff because every ceiling's tore out. We can do it in half the time. And two is, if we're going to do this, we've got to be able to train our staff. I got to be able to fingerprint staff. I'd prefer to do that in August before the school year starts. It'd be nice to be able to handle that stuff in service. So that's our goal. We're honestly just waiting on the state's timeline now to make it happen for us. But
And I don't know if you've thought this far into the details, but I know historically when I've worked with hand readers, if then a student or staff member happens to get a cut and it changes their fingerprint or they got a Band-Aid, then that also may alter their access.
yeah, we talked to them about, yep. Yeah.
So they say two hands.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna fall down, just go one way.
Save your thumb.
And if say somebody did end up, with both their hands in a cast, God forbid, or something like that, we can give them a card. Because the vendors have told us that 99% of the people have a fingerprint that's readable, but he said in some cultures, they sand their fingerprints off because it makes their fingers softer feeling. So I said somebody like that, you'd have to sit there and give a card to. So I thought that was interesting. I never would have thought somebody'd sand off their fingerprints, but they say they run into that.
Is any of this grant money gonna be used to shatter resist the doors with?
That's the primary grant, and that they'll just pay for whatever the cost is, because I'm getting it done through CISA 10.
So we're doing that?
Yes, most certainly. Because that's, they give you whatever it costs based on how many front entries you have. You're entitled to one per building, so that's a bunny there.
And are you looking for a motion?
Nope, that's gonna come through the financial.
I digress, Madam Chairman. We beat this horse.
Yes.
Could we use Matt's motion? The only thing is, I don't know about for the glass, is that in
That's not part
That
of
I
it.
didn't ask for, because they'll just reimburse us for it.
I know, but that wouldn't be in this motion.
No, because I would just do that with my own authority. It's
We're just wait for the
97,000.
financial section.
We have it listed properly.
Yeah.
It can be decided.
Yeah, it's up to you. If you, Matt, you wanna make that a motion?
Yeah, let's get it over with. I'll make a motion that we approve the request as drafted.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Matt Barnes, a second by Cory Tomchek, to approve the school safety as presented. Any other discussion?
Well, I'll just make note that 60,000 anticipated out of funding of the school safety grant, and 36,024 is out of the finance committee's budget.
General fund.
To come out of Fund 10, yes.
And
I would
Brent-
consider it like a construction project as well, putting it.
Brent said that there was such a mad rush that we were lucky to get some vendors.
I was really happy with getting 2 quotes. In fact, the Wednesday before the grant closed, I was on the phone, Brady and I, for a couple hours with the vendor, and they're all spazzing, because, I mean, you think about it, if you got 1,000 entities coming at you, and basically Systems Technology and Permar are the ones that schools in the area have used, they're all flooded with requests. And then you think about some schools that have 14 buildings to look at, it's a lot of stuff. They were busy.
So Amy, would you be able to incorporate the way some of the presentation was into the motion?
For the dollar amounts? I
Yeah,
think she'll just,
It's in the proposal.
right, okay,
you have the numbers right.
okay. Any other discussion?
Today I was reviewing some of the policies, ethics, the welfare of the students come first. This would support, this initiative would support that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8B, discussion and possible decision of board packets.
So this agenda item was requested by Corey to review it. The background information is something that Brady and I worked on together to share in the background information. And Brady, did you wanna?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just to give you a brief overview, you know, we talked about Corey's question on there, I guess, about the initiative to add some technology pieces. The Chromebooks are in there, obviously, that are in front of you. Adding Board Book, which is the software that manages everything for us, that you know many of you are using. You know, those are the basic pieces, I guess I would say, to it. I think that is kind of the information that was requested of us. If there's questions, I guess I certainly can answer anything about it.
I make a motion to continue to print board packets and associated supporting materials be circulated as currently provided.
I make a motion to require every board member to utilize their electronics.
Okay, wait, you had a motion first. Let's second that. You can bring a
Let's
second.
play, let's go.
Okay. We do have a motion by Kevin. Is there a second?
I didn't get to finish my motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If changes occur from Thursday release day, a summary of each such changes will be provided in summary form prior to the start of the meeting.
Okay,
I'll second it.
so we have a motion by Kevin. I'm not gonna put the whole thing, if that's okay.
It's all right, I got a hard copy.
Okay, and a second by Kelly. Discussion.
I make a motion that we require every board member to utilize their electronics.
Okay, we have a motion by Corey. Is there a second to Corey's motion? Is there a second to Corey's motion? Is there a second? Motion fails for lack of a second. Okay, so we currently have a motion by Kevin, a second by Kelly. Further discussion.
I do have some further discussion items. First point, while people attain and retain information unique to each individual learning style, I'm amazed that this motion is in front of the Mosinee School Board. Professionals in any training and or educational environment recognize the value in reaching and communicating by various means has positive impacts, attainment and retainment. One can complete a variety of internet searches, including public research that provides supporting evidence a variety of media is most effective. The second point. While I have engaged with the board for a couple years, I have often hear from administration a displeasure of my discussion and questions with a frequent statement, it is an adequate preparation by the board members. I am offended by this comment. Unfortunately, I personally have a disability from my diagnosis of MS in November 2016. At times I'm fatigued, and with reasonable requests of printed copies and media and sitting time not to exceed 2 hours, I am forwarding this request to MPS Human Resource Department for appropriate record documentation requirements.
Okay, can I ask a couple questions for clarification?
Sure.
Brady, you used the word for me, I forget what it's called. What's the email that lists everything with the things I can click on that take me to what I need?
The hyperlinks on it?
With the hyperlinks, what's that one called?
That's just a hyperlink agenda.
Right, so does that require board books to produce that? Is that what board books does for us?
So that's part of what Board Books does. I mean, the way that Ann used to do it of the Google Doc had the hyperlinks in there. The extra, so Board Books does that. The extra layer that Board Books does that we were not providing prior to Board Books was an adequate way to put that information out for the public either. You know, I mean, I would say we were pretty severely lacking in that end of transparency, which Board Book, the public aspect of Board Book, now, you know, nobody can say we don't put our information out there, which prior to that, I mean, that was not the case.
Is that an annual fee to the district?
Board Book's an annual fee of, I think it was $2,000.
Okay.
So there's two big companies, Board Books and Board Docs. Pretty much all of our neighboring districts have gone one of those two primarily. Yes, there's the benefit to you, but it's also the benefit to the public, you know, because when Amy sets that up, Amy puts a public view of that agenda out there, which obviously doesn't have all the information yours does, but certainly gives the public the ability to keep updated on what's going on.
Thanks. I'll just add my thoughts on it, which are, I find that very useful. That's how I like to get my information. However, that's what works for me. I don't want to speak for anyone else on how they should get their information. So I think whatever is most useful for each individual board member that gets them the information that they can review and be prepared for the board meeting is what's really important.
I agree. There was one comment that was in there about how Amy has to deliver to some people. I mean, can't they just pick them up instead of having them?
I can pick up mine, I'm okay with that. I think that's the
Okay.
smart thing to do.
I will tell you though, to be very honest with you, people say they're gonna show up and they don't. And
Well,
so,
I think.
no, not you.
Oh.
I mean,
No.
don't take it personal,
No.
but we do say, somebody will say, yep, I'll be there to pick it up. And Amy will be sitting here, yep, I leave at 3:00, we'll just say an odd time. It is a challenge, because you don't show up on time, people don't show up on time that request to pick them up. So, I mean, sometimes that's a challenge. It's a challenge to have her gone and have to do that
I agree.
51 miles. So if everybody could come and pick them up, that would be preferable.
That was a suggestion I had. We're all adults.
Sure.
If we're responsible, we don't get there, then it's not your fault.
Well, it's
Amy
also-
calls us,
Sure.
we'll get here, and if we don't, then that's a lump to us. The other thing that I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but the hyperlinks and some of the reports, I will gladly go on to the computer, so you don't have to print out all of this.
How do we determine who does and who doesn't?
Well, no, we're gonna vote on it, Cory. That's what I'm asking.
I think that is a challenge though, because let's just take a look at our summer school report. And if you rely 100% on just the printed material, then you did not get,
Yes.
you did not get this information, which has all of the courses that are offered.
Right.
You did not get that.
So what are you saying, Kelly?
The safety grant,
What
for
I'm saying
example.
is I want my packet